Hello and welcome to Craft with Sarah and day 18 of the Halloween Craft Countdown, where I'm sharing a new Cricut Halloween project every day for 20 days. Today's project is this lovely layered design that you can add your own letter or word to the middle of. So it comes blank in the middle and these little bits of green, and then I'll show you how you can add any letter with a nice spooky Halloween font in Cricut Design Space. This is great because it means you can personalize it for whoever you want and make it completely unique to them. The SVG is free for the next 24 hours. If you haven't already got your free ticket for the Halloween Craft Countdown, go to craftwithsarah.com/HCC to sign up. If you have already registered, here's how to download the free Add Your Own Letter Alphabet SVG. If you've already registered your free ticket, check for an email from me with subject line Halloween Craft Countdown ticket information, or any of the other emails from me that you have been sent throughout the countdown. Can't find them? Check your junk or spam box to see if they've gone there by mistake. These emails contain the link to view the countdown projects and download today's files. Scroll down this page to find today's project. Click the button to start the files automatically downloading to your computer or mobile device. Each download is only available for free for 24 hours after it goes live. If you've missed some, check out the Instant Access Bundle at craftwithsarah.com/HCC bundle, which gives immediate and ongoing access to all of the files and projects from the Halloween Craft Countdown. All downloads come in zip folders. You will need to unzip them before you can upload the files into Cricut Design Space. Once you've downloaded and unzipped the folder, it's time to get the SVG file into Cricut Design Space. Open up Design Space and start a new project, and then go into Upload over on the left, and then Upload Image. You can then either click Browse to find the file on your computer, or drag and drop it in. Make sure you choose the unzipped version of the folder and then go into Cut Files. There are 3 different versions of the file in here, and the one you need for Design Space is the one which starts SVG in the file name. Click and drag in that SVG file, and then it should look like this with all of the layers one on top of the other. If yours looks different and you see all the layers next to each other instead, that means you've accidentally uploaded the wrong file. So if that's the case, click Cancel down on the bottom and try again, and make sure you choose the one which starts SVG. When it looks like this, go ahead and press Upload, and then when it's in your recent uploads, click it to get that green border, and then press Add to Canvas. Now, if you want to, the design can be used as is. You don't have to put anything in the middle, but it was designed so that you can add your own letter in the middle. And I will do the letter S for Sarah. You can use any font that you want to, but I thought I'd show you where you can get some really, really cool Halloween fonts from, and it's my favorite place to buy fonts from. This is CreativeFabrica.com. It's a subscription website, so you purchase it on a monthly subscription, a bit like a Netflix subscription, and that gives you access to literally millions of SVG files, graphics, sublimation designs, clip art, icons, and, of course, fonts. And it's the font section that I'll be showing you in this video. Click into Fonts over in the navigation menu. And then in the search, I am going to type in drip because I want a nice drippy Halloweeny type font to use. There are lots of different ones to choose from. And because I'm cutting this with a Cricut, I don't want my drips too thin like this, otherwise it might tear the cardstock. And on this one, I can see from the picture that some of those drips are kind of separated from the letters, so I don't want that because it'll all fall apart when I try and cut it. I think Dripping Zombies looks like a good one to choose. Let's click into here, and then because I've already got the Creative Fabrica subscription, mine says download. If you don't have it, then you'll be able to purchase it. If you've never signed up to Creative Fabrica, before, I have a special offer for you where you can get your first 7 days subscription for just $1. In that 7 days, you can download as much as you want to use from the Creative Fabrica website, and then it will only cost you $1, and there's no ongoing commitment after that if you decide to cancel before the end of the 7 days. If you're interested in finding out more about that, check the written version of this tutorial and I'll include the link and some more information in there. If you do have a Creative Fabrica subscription, then sign into your account and then you'll be able to see the download button and just click and the font will start downloading. You need to install the font on your computer. I've opened up the zip folder that it came in, and then there's 2 versions of the font. We've got empty regular and then regular, and then each of those has 2 different file types. There is .otf and .ttf. I tend to use .otf, and I kind of remember it by open this font and then the TTF trash this font. So use the OTF if you have the opportunity. To install a font, just double click. And this is on a Windows computer. It might be a bit different on a Mac. I have never used a Mac, so I don't know. And then you get this screen and just press install. Now, I've already installed it from where I was testing this project, so I'm just going to click no here. But what yours would do is it would go ahead and install that font, and that's all there is to it. With fonts, you don't need to upload it into Cricut Design Space like you would with an SVG file. But what you do need to do is if you've just uploaded a font and you've got Design Space open, it won't see it until you close Design Space and then open it again. So that's what I am about to do now. I'm going to close Design Space, reopen it, and then start my project again. So here we are back in Design Space, and now I can add my letter. So I'll go into text, type out my S. Let's move it. Oh, didn't mean to do that. There we go. I missed it completely. Move it over here so you can see. And then change the font in this drop down. It's a system font because it's one I've installed. And then let's search for zombie. Here we go, dripping zombie. That is perfect for Halloween. Now I can move it over and size it. First, I'm going to size this to how big I want to cut it. And I'll do it 7.5 inches. And then get my letter. I'm going to give this a little border using the offset feature in Design Space. So I'll make this so that it completely fits in the middle. And then let's just change the color so the next bit will be easier to see. I'm going to click it, then go into offset and have a little look. Wait for that to load. That's going to be a really big offset. So let's try 0.12. That's better. Press apply. What that's done is it's given me a little border outline of the letter on a different layer. And that's what I'm going to join together with the border here. And then I'll be sticking that in the middle. All right, so I'm just going to undo that moving to put it back in the middle. This isn't quite big enough at the moment because it's not touching there, and I'd quite like it to. I'll select both of those layers and make them both a bit bigger. And position it where I want it to go. So ideally you want that offset layer overlapping this darker green bit on the left and the right at the top and the left and the right at the bottom. If you've got a letter I or J, for example, where it's more sort of straight, then it might only be touching once at the top and the bottom, and that's perfectly fine. I'm going to hide my orange letter by clicking the I next to it in the layers panel. And then make this the same green as that outline. I need to join my letter to that green outline. So to do that, press the main design and then click ungroup to separate out all the layers. Click on your offset layer of text, press shift on your keyboard and choose the outline darker green of the inside there. And then press weld. And that's joined them together into one layer. I can see here there's a teeny tiny little cut line that my Cricut will really struggle with just because that's really small. To take that out, click on the layer and then go into contour. This lets you hide cut lines. So if I scroll down this list here, I've got the smallest bit always on the bottom. If I click that, it will hide it. So now when I close this, you see that tiny bit has disappeared. And then, hid the wrong thing. Let's turn that letter back on, drag it back to the top, and I think I'll cut it from black. I recommend saving your project at this point. Otherwise, if anything happens to Design Space, you'll have lost all of that work you've just done. I'm now ready to cut this out. So let's go make it. Actually, I will save it just because I've just said that. Let's just say Halloween test and give it a save. All right, now I can cut it out. So I'm going to click make it over here and it will separate everything into colors. And then you can change the paper size down this list on the left. You do need to do it for every single color. And if you want to, you can drag things about to use up less space or to put them in a particular way. For example, I have a little scrap of white card, which I know is about that size. So for me, that makes sense because I can use my scrap rather than having to cut into a brand new sheet. When you're happy with how everything is looking, press continue and then it will connect to your Cricut machine so that you can get everything cut out from your cardstock. Here is my letter S all ready to be stuck together. I've laid the layers on top of each other to make sure I'm happy with the colours and that I haven't accidentally forgotten anything. We're going to be sticking this together with a combination of glue and foam squares. The glue I'm using is called Collall. I really like it because it doesn't bend or wrinkle the cardstock like other glues can do, and I put it into these needle tip applicator bottles. These have super tiny nozzles on them, which means I'm going to be able to get into all of these little characters and the spider web really easily. For the foam squares, any foam squares will do. I've got these ones. These are quite big, as you can see, so I'm going to need to cut them smaller with a pair of scissors to make sure they'll fit on my design. As with the layered designs, we want to start at the bottom and work our way upwards. So let's move all these teeny tiny critters apart. I'm going to try and keep the order in the same way just off camera so that I know which one goes where when I come to stick it together. Although luckily the black silhouettes do make it quite easy to know which bit is going where. There we go. All these little eyes of the potion bottle skull. I'm probably going to lose them. And I'll move that one over, and then we've got our 3 cobweb layers. But we need the very bottom 2, which is these ones. So you know which way this goes and is stuck on because you've got the little bat wing and the potion bottle, and they're quite good little guide points to know where you're sticking. This one is going to be done with 3D foam squares, so I'm going to turn it upside down and add my foam. Here's my foam. It's the same foam I showed earlier, but I've just cut it in half with scissors because otherwise the pieces would be too big to fit inside these tips on the spider web. You need to make sure your foam goes in the cardstock and doesn't overhang at all, because otherwise you'll see it when you turn it over, and we don't want to be able to see that foam. We want it to be nice and hidden. I'm also going to put a bit of foam in all of the backings of the little characters just to give it lots of stability to have all those layers stuck on top. And as well as this, I need to put some foam in the middle section too. And that's because if you were to just leave it like that with nothing in the middle, your cardstock is going to dome downwards under the weight of everything else. And it won't look as good. So we want a nice, firm, stable middle, and a couple of extra foam squares in the middle will achieve that. Now I need to peel the backings off of the foam pads to reveal the stickiness underneath. That's all of them, so I can bring my bottom layer back in. And then I'm going to use the potion bottle and the bat wing to line it up. And then the corresponding bits will touch right up against. So your little pictures on the sides will touch the edge of that lighter cardstock, but the spiderweb points are a bit smaller. I've just gently laid that down to check I'm happy with the positioning before I stick it. I think that looks good. So I'm going to push down to really get all of those foam squares stuck down. The next layer is the top spiderweb layer, and because of all of the thin bits inside the spiderweb, this will be a glue layer. I've turned it upside down, and now I'm going to use my needle tip bottle to make sure I get the glue very neatly and easily into those spiderweb sections. This one's a bit easier to line up because the pictures are more obvious now. And once again, the pictures will line up exactly, but the spider web on the black layer is thinner than the grey one underneath. Okay. Next, let's add the name. We'll start with the bottom layer, the solid one, and this will be a foam square layer. Turn it upside down and add your pieces of foam. And just like before, we need to make sure that there's a piece in the middle as well as around the edges. Now this bit is not symmetrical. It does have a right way round to go. So just make sure that you stick it the right way so it lines up and you get a nice even amount of the black around the edge. Next is the border layer for our letter, and this will be a glue layer. Line it up. And I'm not going to push that down too much because I don't want my glue to smush out the sides. For the letter on top, I'm going to pop this out for some more dimension with some foam pads. I might need to cut them even smaller. That'll probably go there, but just a pair of scissors and cut down. And now I have a really narrow bit just to go in the bottom. As this piece is so small, it doesn't need one in that middle section of the S. We're good with this. And whatever letter you've chosen to do, or if you've done a word, it will work the same. But if you've done a word and it's really small, you'll probably want to glue that instead of using foam. Next, we've got all the little pictures to add on. So I'm just going to whiz these round to where they're going to go. Oh no, see, I told you I was going to lose those eyes. They are quite small. First things first, let's glue these together. So the top layers of all of the pictures will be glued to the one underneath. For my little ghost, I've got the white ghost, and that will be glued to the blue base, which is showing the eyes through. Likewise for this pumpkin, I'm going to glue the orange to the yellow underneath. And then I'll just go round and get all of these done super quickly through the magic of video editing. Watch out for the potion bottle because it's got the two little eyes to go inside the skull. And for this, it's easier just to put 2 tiny dabs of glue directly into the middle. And then you can stick the eyes on. They are very small, so try not to lose them. Okay. That's all of my little pictures stuck together. So now I can add them onto the main design, and for that we're going to use our 3D foam squares to give it that extra pop. As these bits are so small, I'm going to just use one little bit of foam. You could use two if you wanted to give it a bit more stability. I think one will be fine. I'll do two for the pumpkin though, because he's a little bit bigger. And for all of these, when you stick them on, remember that there should be an even amount of black all around the edges of the pictures to create that border effect. So you're not sticking the pictures right up against the side. You want it to be in the middle of the black layer underneath. Last pictures going on now. And there we have it. Our layered monogram spiderweb is all finished. I love the bright colours in this. It's got so many layers and so much to it. And I love that it is personalised in the middle too. I hope you enjoyed this video on how to make your own layered monogram spiderweb Halloween craft thing. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel for loads more Cricut crafts and Halloween tutorials. I hope to see you tomorrow for day 19 of the Halloween craft countdown. Thank you for watching. Bye!